Like the majority of you.
Mm. For a month, I would say.
Okay,
Maybe a bit more even.
and how many of you?
We played for a while, then we had like a huge break, but since then maybe yeah, a month or two, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All of you?
No. Zero is pretty new. We sub course a few times a long time ago, and yeah, we're also looking for new main tank. Sorry, off tank. Johnny's getting replaced
Okay.
soon. Yeah.
Thanks. Fuck off.
Yeah,
So
after you getting traded to Shock, it's pretty hard for us.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I get it.
so you have no off tank right now.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
I see. Uh
New Senskin. Nice.
Nano Diva, Nano Diva, Nano Diva.
Now I would like to start with a little bit of introduction so I get to know you. I would like everyone to tell me their preferred name, what you're playing, and how much experience you have individually playing in teams. And I'm just gonna start. I'm Koro. I'm coach, obviously. Um, I've got about 4 years of competitive experience playing main and flex support. And the last 2 years I spent coaching. And I would suggest we go from top to bottom in the Discord call.
Oh.
You bunny gal.
Shush. I'm Vinny. I've been playing flex slash main support for 1 or 2 years now. What else do I have to say? Shit. Brain turn off. Girl.
For a year in teams.
1 to 2 years in two different teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's already enough for now.
Cool, I'm higher. I've been playing in teams since July. This is the only team I've been in. Probably got about 40 to 60 scrims under my belt. I play hit scan.
All right. Thank you.
Wait. Sorry. Yeah, Sika or Jonas, whatever you prefer, and I'm playing Overwatch for 1.5 years. I don't exactly know how long in teams.
Around a year. Should be.
Sorry, my mother just walked in. That's weird. What did you say?
Around a year, probably.
Yeah, good work. Could be. Yeah, playing main support.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Stommer. I'm your flex DPS. I've been playing Overwatch for 2.5 years and in like a team for around a year now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Johnny. I'm the main tank. Like originally like fully flex tank, but now pretty much a main tank. Because we have no one else. I'm playing competitive Overwatch since I don't know, like a year now, 1.5, I guess, and in teams since I don't know, half a year, something like that, a little more.
All right.
Yeah, I guess so. And that's my first team. So yeah, but I was here before we like went to Reformed Esports and stuff. So yeah. That's it pretty much, I guess.
So I watched one of your scrims. That was last Friday, I think. Friday or Saturday or Thursday. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it might have been last Monday or Tuesday because I wasn't here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think you were spectating the one that I was in. I believe so, anyway.
Am I getting that old? Was it Monday?
It might have been, yeah. Time
But
flies.
you, but you do remember me spectating you.
Yes, I do. Yes.
I mean, all of the team. You remember the scrim you played?
Roughly.
I
Alright.
roughly remember it as well. Yeah.
Alright.
I think you're talking about the 29th. If I'm not mistaken, you can look into replays channel. I think they're the VODs, and that's the last one where Haya was here, so must be that date.
Okay. So I just saw that one scrim. Would you say that this is similar to how most scrims look like when you play?
Hard to say, really, isn't it?
How come?
Sorry.
It's hard to say because sometimes we're a bit less mentally collected than others, and I think when we are mentally collected, we perform better than we did in that scrim, if I remember it correctly.
Okay, so you would say that scrim was an example of you not being
like underperforming, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
on your best focus, not concentrating very well.
I think it was a good example of a below average performance for us.
All right.
Others may disagree.
Are there any other opinions to that?
They're like, for me, there are mostly two types of scrims. Either we're like actually playing very good, or we're just like pretty even. Yeah, that's mostly it.
I can say I've been watching these guys for like the past 2 or 3 months now as a DPS coach mainly, and also subbed them a few times. And yeah, there's some shaky performances, and I think that one was on the worst side. I think, yeah, if I remember correctly. Just some mental stuff going on sometimes, but yeah.
Okay. Now, what would be really interesting to know is how do you determine how well a scrim goes? Like, what makes this scrim, or what makes you determine this scrim as an underperformance?
Bad team play.
Yep. Or
Okay.
just individually not
Straight
feeling like you're getting the value you would like to get for yourself. That's
Yeah,
like
and
mostly for me.
I think the things that stand out for me in that particular scrim was slow decision making, slow engagements, and we had a few situations where we just didn't know what to do to resolve our situation.
All right.
Yeah, and also like not being on the same page pretty much. Often. Just like I don't know. Yeah, that's just like mental stuff we've been going through a little, I guess. But yeah.
All right. Now that sounds already pretty good. Because most other teams would say because we lost, it's because we got rolled. Right?
Yeah, that's like mostly the result of us not playing together as a team. So
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is most teams determine how well a scrim goes by if they're winning or not.
No, I think we have like scrims where we lose, but like all of us know like we did good, basically.
Very good.
But yeah, we have those scrims where like we know we didn't play good. I mean, it's also sometimes the case that we win a map and we agree that we didn't like play that clean. It was like just because the other team was worse. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Now, is there a common goal in this team? Is there something determined that you want to work towards together?
I think we don't have a long-term goal, but I know that we all want to be able to.
Or let me rephrase that. Did you talk about it?
Nope.
Okay. In that case, we should do that right now. Because if you're working towards different goals, it doesn't end up working out well. I don't think I have to explain to you why, right? Now, if you want, we can do it like the detailed way, or we can do it quick and easy. Which way do you want?
I don't care.
First one takes longer, obviously.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. In that case, I would like to get a DM from every one of you what they individually want to achieve within the team and they want the team to achieve. Like something they want the team to work towards.
Alright.
And then we build something from the answers you give me.
So wait, did I understand it correctly? We should our own goals with the team, or
What you want, like, there's a reason why you joined the team in the first place, right?
okay?
That's your individual goal, and what the team is working towards should kind of resemble that too, because that's the type of team you want to join. If you just want to have a good time in your free time past work or school, you join a casual team that just plays for fun. You want to improve yourself because you like that, you join a team that's very determined on improving and is very serious about it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be an essay. Like, I just got one message. It was like 4 words, 3 words, and that's basically enough. If it's getting to the point.
Okay, my message will be a bit more than 4 words.
It's fine. It's fine. Just don't write an essay because that's not necessary.
I don't know what to write.
That's when I say that's an issue, I don't want it to sound that bad, but there should be a reason why you join a team. Like, if you think about it, why am I even doing this? And you can't you just don't know, then that's not good.
No, I didn't hear what you said before, and I was just like, what? What we doing? Sorry.
Write down a goal.
Okay, please send me a DM with what your individual goal is and what you would like the team to work towards.
Okay.
Apologize, I understood that wrong, I suppose. While we're waiting for some messages, did you ever participate in a tournament together? Or something similar?
We did one in December, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Like, was there like an SR cap for that? Or was it like an open tournament? What kind of tournament was that?
It was like yes, RCAP was I believe 3100, and most teams were like 2.8, 2.9.
Mm-hmm. And how well did that go for you? Like how many matches did you play? And
It was only
Rolled
one
in the first
bracket.
round.
Yeah.
so it was basically a single elimination bracket, and you went out in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 to 1.
Okay. I see. I'm I'm missing one message.
Bro. There.
Okay. Mm. Now basically, if I sum up what you were texting me, it'd be like that's like the gist of what you sent me. And it's pretty much, it's kind of the same for all of you. So would you agree on these 3 points? Like, would you say these are good goals to work towards?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I suppose the most important one, and what I'm here for, is this. Since you started playing together as a team, did you feel like you made significant improvements? Like, could you point your finger at a skill as a team that you, let's say, visibly or sensibly improved on during the time you played together?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay, communication, good.
Or basically on everything, to be fair.
Yeah. We
To
just
Okay.
second that, I mean, if we compare like our first scrims to now, or even the scrims like 2 to 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
you can always see improvements like from week to week.
Okay.
You can see that, yeah.
Now, the scrim I spectated, what were you trying to practice in that scrim?
I think double bubble, 6-man dive. Those are the comps we were trying to practice, if that's the question.
Okay. Before the scrim started, I think you met like 5 minutes before, at least. Did you talk about what you wanted to improve on during that scrim?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And that's my main point. This topic is what I wanted to talk about today. Basically, just how. Right? You improve, obviously, in scrims and when you play ranked. That's your time to practice. Now, it's easier for me to make an example with traditional sport to explain this concept. Does any one of you play or have played sports like soccer or tennis or anything similar?
Yeah.
Tennis?
Water polo.
Alright.
Rugby.
Now, your time to practice in that sport was the 1 to 2 times per week you went there to have, what's it called? To practice, basically. Yeah. That's the same. That is scrims in esport. Is that training in traditional sports? Now, let's make an assumption we play tennis, right? Tennis is a very easy example. As a matter of fact, what's it called? In tennis, the hit on the ball that starts around in English.
The serve?
Shit. Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. let's say you go to your tennis training and your coach, hopefully you have one, tells you, boy, you're serving absolutely horribly. You have to practice that. You're absolute garbage at serving. You got to get better. And let's assume he tells you nothing else. Just that. What do you do?
Practice just to serve over and over and over and over and over, like drill it.
Yes, very good. And there's the word I was looking for. Doing or practicing like one specific thing during training, practice time, whatever, in traditional sports is called a drill. A practice drill. Now, let's assume, again, he tells you, hey, you're absolute garbage at serving, but what you're doing now is you get a mate and you play a game of tennis, and while you're doing that, you're trying to improve on your serving. Now, why doesn't he do that? Why does he rather makes you do a drill? What's so effective with
Memory, technique, everything.
The whole game just takes too much time of
Yes.
other things.
Yes.
I see.
In I don't know how long a game of tennis takes, but let's assume it takes 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, you play a game of tennis, and while you do that, you do, let's assume, you serve 5 times. In these 10 minutes, when you just do a drill, you serve 50 times. So it's much more effective what you're doing when you just do the one thing you want to improve on. Now, why am I telling you this? And now we're getting back to video games.
I assume you're going to want us to drill some things.
Yes, but you can't. There's the issue. There is some things you can practice in a drill, but there's some things you just can't. Like, let's assume you want to practice dive, like very basic setup, staging, communication, and coordination, like very, very basic. Around a dive, you can do in a drill, yes. But when it comes to actual execution, you have to do it in an actual scrim against enemies that defend themselves. Right? Also, there is things during the game that are so complicated and so tied together with everything that happens around you that you can't simplify it to a practice drill. And that's why I gave you the second example with tennis. This, you're playing a game, and while you do that, you practice serving. That's what you do in a scrum. You choose one thing that you want to practice, that you want to improve on. And during your entire practice session or during the game, you try to focus on only that. And the way you make that slightly more effective is by trying to force the situation as often as possible. Like, let's say you're playing, let's make a traditional sports example again. Let's say you're playing soccer. That one's a bit easier. You're playing soccer, and what you're trying to practice is shoot the goal. And now you have to do that during a live game. Now, what you do to make that practice more effective is you try to force yourself with the ball in situations where you at least have the chance to shoot the goal. Even if another play, like passing to a teammate, would be better and more beneficial for the game in order for you to win. Until here, does that make sense to everyone? Does that make sense? Alright. Tying to what I just said in my last sentence, before I asked. What I'm always saying is, when you're trying to practice, you're not trying to win. And when you're trying to win, you can't practice. Why might that be the case? I kind of explained it already a little bit. But why could I be saying that?
Well, when you're trying to win, you're losing focus on the actual goal. Stop focusing on the thing you want to practice on, and you're trying on something else. I'm using your strengths to obtain it rather than working on your the thing you're weak at. You want to train.
Yes, that's actually a very good point. Now, this gets to the core of why that is the case. Now, your skill of playing Overwatch is not just one skill. It's many different smaller skills combined, right? Positioning, it's aim, it's communication, it's knowing when to use your ultimate, knowing when to use your abilities, etc. Right? These build your skill of playing Overwatch. Let's put them like this. But you are better in some of these skills than others, visualized by these graphs, right? Like, this is aiming, this is positioning, this is ult usage, ability usage, whatever, right? When you're trying to win, you're trying to get the most out of all of these skills to combine them to the best possible overall skill playing Overwatch. Because that makes you win, that makes you the best player you can possibly be at that point in time. But when you're trying to practice, you're doing the exact opposite. You are focusing on one of these skills, and what happens then is the others, is like you don't focus on the others as much, which makes you basically artificially worse in the others. Right? So let's say you're trying to focus on your positioning. You're trying to actively think about, okay, how should I position in this point in time? Like this is during the game. Is this position that I'm in a decent position? What can I do from here? What is this a safe position for myself? And what happens is you don't actively think anymore about other things as much. You don't think about how you use your abilities as much. You don't think about how you use your ultimate as much. And therefore, your overall combined skill will decrease. When you're practicing, you're playing worse. It's very likely that, or it's more likely that you're losing when you're trying to practice. Now, so far, everyone understands too? Hopefully?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Is there any questions so far, or anything? Doesn't have to be specifically to what I talked about.
No, don't think so.
No.
Okay. Now, let's say, or, okay, so what I just explained here, right? This, I just remember that. What I just explained here applies to individual improvement as well as team improvement. Right? This is very basic, or kind of basic. This applies to team and individual. You can use this in scrims, where, like, right now, I'm focusing more on the scrim side. But breaking down what I tell you here, you can use individually to improve in ranked by yourself. Right? Now I can go back to the question with which I started this topic. When you want to improve during your scrims, you have to start with knowing what you want to improve. That's why I asked that question. Right? We can... let me think. What we can do is, like, make an example of what you guys want to practice, because it's simpler than you think to choose something, but it's also not so simple at the same time. Give me a suggestion of what you might want to work on right now, like a very general thing that you want to improve on as a team.
Setup.
Setup and engagement synergy. Probably.
That's okay. Setup. That's a very good one. I suppose you're talking about staging when you, or sorry, when I say staging, does everyone know what I mean?
Kind of, yeah. I haven't used that word used specifically, so I'm just assuming, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So staging is, like, used for taking optimal position before a team fight. Doesn't really matter with what comp. But it's the most important when you play a dive. Right? That is staging. And I assuming that's what you're trying to talk about. Even on Brawl, when you're playing Reinhardt and you're playing 6-man all together, you do staging. Now, okay, let's say I mean, this is on the simplest side, right? Right. Let's say this is what you want to practice next scrim. What would you do? Like, how would you approach this, considering what I just explained to you? How would you go about this?
after every single fight.
Yeah,
Just
I feel
like really forces the staging pretty much. Just like, I don't know, instead of like insanely taking base or something like that, just like stage all the time. I don't know.
That is yeah. Sorry.
I don't know.
It's you're going in the right direction. I twist some words and make of what you say basically take your time, right? I mean, first of all, you should decide on what comp you want to play, because dive or the different compositions require different kinds of staging. So, matter of fact, you could break down staging into 3 different, like staging as brawl, staging as dive. Could break that down too. But let's say like first thing is like you decide on the composition. And then you try to get in the right position before every fight. And you do not try to fight before you got that position, which is very good. And if it takes you 2 minutes to do that without taking a fight, then that's okay. That's perfectly fine. You're not winning that match when you take 2 minutes to prepare for a single fight, but you're definitely improving on your staging. And this is perfectly applying what I explained here. It doesn't make you win, but it makes you better. We could say that even before you decide what composition you play, or basically you decide what composition you play, and then you discuss what staging should look like for that composition. Because if you're not all on the same page, you can't properly stage. If you're just going in, then chances are some people don't actually really know how that composition should stage. And then the practice is kind of wasted. Or, it's not wasted, okay? Don't get me wrong. This is, what I'm telling you is basically trying to make the practice as efficient as possible. Professional teams do this way, like I'm explaining it. You don't have to. You really don't have to. It's fine if you're taking that a bit lighter. I'm just saying this would be the optimal way of going about it. As a matter of fact, as I'm just thinking about it, did you ever do, in your time as team together, a theory session? Like, just talk about how you want to play things and how you want to communicate and stuff like that.
Not really, I guess.
I was about to say, it's not a crime if you say no. Most teams don't. Okay.
Can't remember an instance where we have done. But
Right.
Okay, I think, as my time, in my time as coach here, I've done like 2 VODs, I think, or so. And in those VODs, obviously you go over some theory, but not just dedicated explainers. I think both Virus and I, who did the VODs in this team, we both mainly like went over, explained something like Ball Tracer, for example, and then showed it in the VODs how it's supposed to work, for example, and explain it like that, but not dedicated.
Sorry, what did you explain?
Ball tracer.
A
Basically,
ball trap. Okay, yes,
yeah,
okay.
like a comp.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
So some kind of comp or some kind of way of playing. Some concept. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Some concept,
I
and
just
then showing it in a VOD, basically.
I thought he said bold razor. That's why I was asking.
No, no.
Okay. Sure. All right. Okay. Now this seems fairly easy, right? So what we went over here, this seems kind of straightforward. But when we try to get deeper into this, I already said that you can't just say, okay, what we're trying to practice is staging. Because just that, you can split into 3 different kinds of staging for the compositions you play. Even more if you consider very specific single compositions. But also, what you have to consider when deciding on what you want to practice is what we're trying to practice based on other skills we have to learn or get to a certain level first before we can do this properly. Because if we go back to this right here, it's not that every skill you have individually and as a team starts from the very bottom. Like, there is some skills that start like here. Because you can only apply them properly when you got to a certain point on the other skills. And there is some skills that just cap out, that you can't just get better at. It's called a skill ceiling and a skill floor. Maybe you've heard those terms before. You can apply them to many different skills. Won't go too deep into that. But this makes sense. Like, I'll actually give the example with staging, right? Basically, in order to properly stage, you have to properly communicate in the game when and where to go and what to do from those positions, right? You need some kind of coordination and effective communication just to do this. So, if your communication around staging is ineffective, there is not really a point in trying to practice staging. Maybe this is a bad example, but let's make another example. Let's say what you want to practice is, and this is quite advanced, actually, is you're trying to react and play around the enemy's ultimates. There's no point in trying to play around the enemy's ultimates when your ult tracking is not on point. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Right? This is a more straightforward example. But every time you decide on what you want to practice, you have to like go down the string of skills basically that you need in order to perform this properly. And maybe you'll realize that there's some other skill that you have to work on before that in order to even practice this properly. Good. Is there any questions now? You want to like did everyone understand what I was talking about for the last hour?
Yes.
Did you kind of good. Very good. Right. Do the coaches want to add anything to this? Like do you have an opinion on anything I just explained? Like do you call bullshit? You're allowed to.
Oh, sounds good. Not bad. What I've heard about improvement in, yeah, as I said, just about anything. Yeah.
Right.
That's a very good basic philosophy to approach getting better at anything, honestly.
Yeah, good life advice. Yeah, I don't disagree with anything, to be honest. I think that's a good basis to work off
Yep.
of,
Right.
if you will.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. No. Want to do this? Need to look for something. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know you play. You want to play. Playing is fun. I know that. But would you like to do a session like this? Like, at least regularly. Like, once every 2 weeks, maybe. Did you enjoy this? At least a little bit. It's also fine if you say no. That's absolutely a valid point.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed going over the basic concepts of coaching, but I would say that I appreciate its necessity. Do you
Okay.
know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I'm asking you that because I'm looking to mainly do this. Because it builds on it's just fundamentals that, let's be honest, most players lack. When you say you never really did something like this, you probably never talked about how to play a certain composition and what everyone's job is relative to the others. You probably did it a little bit together with your individual coaches, I suppose, but not really in the grand scheme of things.
I have a question.
Yes.
From coach to coach.
Yes.
So you're more of let's say, mental coach. Is that right? Then like, or do you plan on like giving in-depth, like, I don't know, beforehand, like before we had Virus as a head coach,
Yeah.
and Virus was basically only there on Sundays, I think, and gave like 1.5 hour VODs where he basically went over what went wrong in that scrim. And you be more of like of the kind where you go over the mental of the team. Is that how you want to go over this? Just out of curiosity.
Okay.
Do you still
It's
think
what
it's
it's what I want to start with.
Okay.
It's what I think is required to start with.
Okay. And then you want to build on
I
that with
okay. With like some actual talking about gameplay, yes.
yes, okay.
Because I didn't want to stretch it too long because I know this gets tiring and boring for players. So the next thing I wanted to show you or go over with you is this, which is already talking about gameplay more.
Nice.
This is a little bit older, to be fair.
It is the Bible.
This is basically the Bible. Yes, this is my prophet Thor gave me this. And he made this presentation over 150 pages or slides more to talk about macro fundamentals. And what I would like to start with, in gameplay wise, is talk about how the compositions work and how they generally play out. But so I'm looking to do more theory stuff and not really VOD review. I mean, okay, to be fair, VOD review is also theory, yes. But I'm shying away from doing VOD reviews because I think it's just not that useful to start with.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm of the opinion that it's actually the other way around, at least in this tier of play, because it's much easier to understand like things you have to do when you can look at them in a VOD, because you can see yourself there, and in something like this you have to be very you have to think a lot. And well, I mean, it depends on the team, I guess. I mean, if your the game fundamentals are better, I think stuff like this is better. Okay, maybe this is not the right place to discuss this actually, because a lot of people are listening into this. But yeah, so yeah.
Um. So, like, my question to the team now would be, we're not taking that long anymore. Like, we're discussing this and then we stop for today. I think that was enough. Are you okay with me coming in every week, once every 2 weeks, and just talking to you about some fundamentals for an hour? Would you listen to this and enjoy it, appreciate it, try to use it? Or would you say, no, that shit's boring, try to do it like, try to do it in another way? Is more, because I still want to discuss these things. Right? You're not getting me to not talk about that. I could just do it in another way.
no problem with like an hour a week or an hour a fortnight.
Right, because this doesn't take so long. Because after an hour, your brain shuts off anyway, and you don't listen to me anyway. So it doesn't. The evening doesn't take that long, you know. Okay. Good. In that case, I would look to do this the next coming weeks, and I hope to give you. I hope to improve you a little bit with that.
Are these going to be recorded sessions when you do them, just in case?
Sorry? Again?
Just in case we can't make it, will they be recorded so that we can?
I asked Virus if it, or I told him to ask you if it was okay if I record these sessions, because I am doing already right now for you to watch it again.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So yes.
So yeah, it's just for like if I can't make it, I can watch
Yeah.
it another time, or I can come back to it when I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Now, when are you going to play your next scrims?